On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, we discuss the new voice for GPS, Castiel. Just follow the road. Just follow the road. Just follow the road.
And also, what happened to the dog, man? What happened to the dog?
Mr. Bones. And a new Maury's Special God Edition. Yes, you are the father. Yes, you are the father. Yes, you are the father. Happy Thanksgiving.
Let's do this.
Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Pamela. I'm Diana.
I'm Ash. Liz. And oh my God, my nose is itching right now. Like, I feel like something just flew up in it. So yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, just you pick my nose. Okay. So we are in tribute to some characters today, and we'll talk about that later or just ignore it. But so you'll have to look at pictures if you're listening to the audio version, or go watch the episode over on YouTube someday. But anyhow, before we get into like the good stuff, let's just get the sad stuff out of the way. So the SPN family lost a member this week. Unfortunately, Nikki Acox passed away. She was 47 years old. Just damn. The family hasn't released what happened, but we do know that she had leukemia. Yes. So
she'd been quietly battling leukemia for about a year, and that she hadn't been super public about that. So that's the kind of assumption, but there's not an official statement on that.
And although I guess I did not say that she played Meg Masters, the original Meg. So she was an amazing actress, made Diana hate her a lot. So I think that says a lot about a person that makes that she was such a great actress that Diana had a visceral reaction to her character.
She was a great actress. The character
really
was
good.
That bitch Meg.
Yep.
That's okay. So cheers and rest in peace to Nikki.
Yeah, cheers, Nikki. Oh man. So now that we're all bummed out, Diana, what's up?
Not too terribly much in my neck of the woods. We are getting holiday ready. This is Thanksgiving week this week, and so happy Thanksgiving, y'all. And in my world, that means I'm also prepping for Christmas because A, the holiday season can last as long as I want it to, and B, because my calendar related to Christmas gets a little cray. So I'm on the early train for that, and I'm okay with it. That's what I got. Nothing else. Oh yeah, I bought a car, but that's okay.
That's pretty exciting. Yeah,
it is. Well, got a new to us, to the Babe and Diana household car, but we'll have it soon. But yeah, how about you?
I am also prepping for Thanksgiving. By that, I mean I ordered some stuff that I can heat in the oven, and am not getting ready for the holidays by putting up any decorations. Probably won't do that this year because they take too much time and I don't give a fuck. And it's very funny if you go to if you pull into my driveway, because I live in a duplex, the neighbor's side already has their Christmas lights up, and I know they will be putting up many other things, but the lights stop right at my garage, so it's this happy bright side, and then just dead plants and a red light on my side. So yeah,
you're working on that. You're working on that reputation.
I want to be the house that children are afraid of, but not because they think I'm creepy, just because they think I'm spooky.
Yeah, because they think you're spooky. I like it.
So let's talk about, talking about depressing things. Dark Side of the Moon.
Season 5, episode or 16. Good Lord.
16. So we're in the downward spiral. And so I think right off the bat, I think we already know, bummer.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
It's a bummer.
So we are 0 episodes since we've had a bummer episode, because last week was also a bummer, right?
Correct.
So this episode, so the title, if you're unaware, is also the name of a Pink Floyd album. I really dislike that album. I've had to listen to that album way too much from people who think it's cool. It's not.
Oh.
It's not a good. No, it's not.
No.
This
pass.
First hard pass. This first aired April 1st, 2010. So it was an April Fool's Day airing, which I think is interesting. This was directed by Jeff Woolnow. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right. And this was his only episode of Supernatural. And according to his website, before starting his career as a broadcast journalist and documentary filmmaker, Jeff played guitar in a touring rock band during his college days. He shadowed Norman Jewison on the Oscar-winning film Moonstruck, which helped him become a director of fiction rather than fact. From his first production job in craft service, still makes a great cup of coffee, to his 12 nominations and 3 outstanding achievement statues, Jeff has directed some 150 hours of TV movies, limited series, and hour-long episodic. Notable among his recent credits are The Expanse with 10 episodes of Vikings, and pilots for something called Copper and something called Burden of Truth. I don't know if either of them became things, but Diana would appreciate that he directed 3 episodes of Riverdale.
Ooh, okay.
Isn't that exciting? That. Yes. And this was written by our partners in crime, Andrew Dabb and Daniel Laughlin. So that's why I think, as dark as this episode is, we still get, there's still some humor and still some things in there. And if you watch the recap, then you get an idea that shit's about to go down. Because the recap is just them dying a bunch of times.
Over and over again. Yeah. I'm like, oh, fuck. Someone's going to die. Because immediately. So our episode kicks off in a motel room. We see Dean sleeping. And they're zooming out. There's 2 men in ski masks and shotguns on him and Sam. Sam's already awake. But Dean, and they're saying they're going to kill him, but Dean recognizes one of the voices. It is Roy and Walt, some fellow hunters that they know. And they are coming to kill Sam specifically, but Dean's collateral, for starting the apocalypse.
Fair.
And that other hunters are coming next, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be pissed off about something, that's a thing. You legit. Fucker. Yeah, it's legit.
But and so Sam's like, no, hear me out. And they're like, no, hear this out, bitch. And they shoot him in the chest. That's not really how they said it, but that's pretty much what happened. And we get Sam Winchester with a shotgun blast to the chest. Dean's not happy, but they're like, well, fuck, we have to kill Dean because now he knows who the fuck we are, and we killed his brother. And so we really don't want him after us for the rest of our lives, so we just gotta kill Dean now too.
Which is also a fair point, right?
Yeah.
And then, but Dean, oh my God, when he's dying and he's just so tough and he is just like, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah. So Dean's shot in the chest too. Yeehaw. And my notes just says, holy shit. That's one start.
Yes.
That's one hell of an intro.
It is one, and I believe the text I got from you was that intro was upsetting.
Yeah, I don't even remember, but yeah, it was something I was like WTF is where my brain was. I'm like, that's what just happened here? Yeah, it was bonkers. So there we go. We end up sorry.
Yeah,
so we get to music playing. We got Knocking on Heaven's Door by Bob Dylan. We've got Dean asleep in the driver's seat of Baby. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we hear thunder. So where the fuck is Dean? Cold breath. He's in the middle of the road. Gets out of the car, and there's a little kid Sammy is there with a box full of fireworks. Okay, so we know that we are not in reality wherever we are, or in the quote-unquote real world, wherever this is, probably.
Yep.
Just
And
anything.
Dean maintains his age while
Adult.
Sam,
Yes.
he's adult Dean. And then we have younger Sammy. And Dean gets very happy to see an old lighter, and I get you, because the lighter gnomes are also bitches. Like, the gnomes have just been running amok through my house this week, and they're stealing all my bobby pins, they're stealing all my lipsticks, and they always steal lighters. So fucking gnomes, man. So I get why you're happy just to see that, right?
Yeah.
So they shoot off fireworks, right? So, and Dean remembers that this was the 4th of July, 1996, right?
Yes.
And Sam's just so happy because he says that John would never have let them do this. So let's do some SPM math here. All right. So Dean was born January 24th, 1979. So in 1996, that would make him 17. So
Yes.
Sam was born May 2nd, 1983. So in 1996, he would have been 13. At this point, your father, who is giving you guns since you were like 5, would let you shoot off some fucking fireworks. So I just don't believe Dad would never let us do this, unless it's just Dad would never let us take time off from hunting things to shoot off fireworks.
That's fair. I don't know. I mean, apparently they were unattended in this field shooting off fireworks, and they allude to the fact later that they did burn the field down. So, I mean,
who hasn't burned down a field with fireworks or sparklers? You know, sometimes you just do that. It's just part of childhood, right? Didn't everybody burn down a field?
I've not burned down a field.
You didn't live. All right. So,
anyways, well, as they're setting off all these fireworks and everything's all happy and they're knocking on heaven's door, ramps back up. But then the fireworks are no longer fireworks. They're shotgun blasts in Dean's head, and little Sammy disappears. So Dean goes back to baby, and the radio turns on its own, and it's Castiel trying to talk to Dean. And he's like, "You got to get to me." And Dean's like, "No, I'm dreaming. Get out of my fucking dream." And he's like, "No, it's not a dream. You know it's not a dream, but you're in heaven. You've got to follow the road. You just got to follow the road."
Oh, the yellow brick road. You know, I think they missed out on something. I would like Cass to be a GPS voice. I would like that to be an option for my ways, because him in your car sounds really cool. So might as well, just have, and then he can just be telling me to follow the road. Follow the road. I'm like, God damn it, Cass. Like, I've got to get to the airport.
Which road? Which road?
Just follow the road. Oh, okay. That's just vague.
Well, he does. So Dean starts driving because apparently it's very hard for Castiel to talk through this radio. And, so Dean starts driving, and the freaking galaxy is so cool looking. The sky is really neat in the scene. And then Dean ends up in front of a house. Inside this house, adult Sam is sitting there in a button down and a tie at a dinner table with a family carving a turkey. And the man is talking very nice. The father figure in this household is talking very nicely to him. Talk about how he's new to McKinley. He's been there for a couple of weeks. And this little girl sitting next to him is, I say little, I mean like 11 little, is kind of flirting with Sam, and it's weird.
No, I mean, I think she's preteen. Yeah, go ahead.
Until we see Dean walk in, and we are going to find out that this is not Sam's dream, or Sam learns this is not his dream. This is something else. This is their version of heaven. And they're both kind of confused why they're in heaven. Dean wants to know if they're in Sky Mall, where are the triplets in latex? But they basically are realizing they're waking up in memories. So Sam had his first real Thanksgiving at 11, and this little girl was his little crush, and this was a special memory for him to have a family event. Dean's like, wait, we had Thanksgiving. And Sam replies that a bucket of KFC and Dad passed out on the couch was Thanksgiving.
Oh, damn, that sounds good.
The bucket of KFC and
Yeah,
passed out
it
on the
really
couch.
does. I'm like, damn. And then I was like, I'm gonna have to make sure and order that Wednesday because I'm not gonna be able to get it on Thursday. And that's the worst part. And I spent a lot of Thanksgiving days alone. Yeah, so I'll just reheat it in the air fryer. I mean, I don't have KFCs here, so it has to be Chicken Express.
That's good too, though.
It's actually pretty good chicken. Like, I finally got that today. So I also just think I appreciate this little girl like putting her hand on Sam's knee, and it's just like, you're a little forward go-getter. Yeah, you know what you want. You go for it.
Well, then the house starts rumbling. Lights are flickering. This is not part of the memory. This did not happen. There's a spotlight coming through the windows, and our boys are smart enough. They know if there's a spotlight searching for them through windows, they need to fucking hide. I mean, they don't know what the fuck's going on, but it's enough that they know they need to hide. Thank goodness. So they do. And a bunch of glass windows break, and then it stops. And the lights come back on. So nobody knows what happened, but Dean's like, we got to get back downstairs to Earth. And so he goes and starts fucking with the radio back when everybody had like a giant receiver radio in their house.
It was so comforting. Like that stereo equipment, just looking at it was just like, I wanted to hug it. I was like, I see you, receiver. I see you, all you additional things and buttons and the tape player that doesn't work. So we had to have something else to put the cassettes in. I see you. I do see you. But I also think it's interesting that nobody else in this house is being affected by what's going on. So the memory
continues like normal.
Yeah, the memory is like still playing out, like it's on a TV loop or something. I don't know what a TV
No,
loop
for sure.
is,
I noticed that too. It was interesting.
Whatever.
It was an interesting artistic choice and story choice. But yeah. So, but Dean's going to try to make the radio work to talk to Cass, and it works. So, and this time though, Castiel pops up on the television static. And he's like, just don't go to the light. The light is Zachariah. Well, fuck, of course it is. Goddamn Zachariah.
And also, just never go into the light.
Yeah, I mean, like, decent instructions. But basically, they can't be vessels if they're dead. So he wants to return them to their bodies, specifically so they can fulfill their destiny. And they're behind the wall, though, now. That Castiel can't go back to heaven. They're behind the wall. Ooh. And they've got a rare opportunity, so they need to go find the angel Joshua. Because Cass can't.
And they need to find Joshua because Joshua talks to God. And they just need to follow the road. And then he says that the road is... Go ahead.
That's all. Just follow the road. That's your
just
instructions.
Follow the road. But he says, that the road is called the Axis Mundi, and it's a path that runs through heaven. And I think that's just a very interesting thing to bring up because the Axis Mundi is something that is this like through line, and like all religions like go down into an Axis Mundi. I don't know, it's an interesting thing that they chose to do here, but because it's this metaphysical thing, everybody's going to see it differently.
Yeah. And for them, it's a lane, 2 lanes of asphalt. So there we go. Joshua, since Joshua talks to God, Joshua can take them to God, which Castiel, as we all know, has been dead set that this is their way to stop the apocalypse. So Dean's like, all right, let's do it. Let's go find Joshua. And Sam's kind of surprised. He's like, wait, what? You actually want to like go on this mission? So anyway, they decide to do it. And
Dean's just like, we're so desperate, like we gotta do whatever we can, right?
Oh yeah. And they leave the house, but then when they go outside the house, the street's gone, and now it's a giant forest. And so Dean's like, well, fuck, let's go back in the house and look for a road. And in the closet, they find a toy racetrack with little race cars on the closet
I
floor.
loved that game so much. It was so much fun. I always wanted one, and I don't think my parents ever bought it for me. So I always had to play it at like other people's houses. But did you ever get to play that one? It's so cool with little
the remote.
With the little hand squeezer things, and then go.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. So he's got his little blue car, and he puts the car on the track and it goes. And then suddenly they're in different clothes in a different room. That was the road.
That was the road. And not only they're different clothes, Dean's in a very specific shirt.
Yes. Says, I love hugs with a Z.
And there's a teddy bear on it. Oh.
There is. Oh. So they're in their childhood home now. And we hear Mary calling to Dean, asking if he's hungry. So they go downstairs. And we've got adult Sam and adult Dean, mind you, with Mary talking to adult Dean as though he is a small child.
And to be clear, it's Samantha Smith Mary, the older Mary, not the younger Mary that we just saw in the other episode. Just making sure we have that clarification.
Yes. So she's pouring milk and offering to cut the crust off of his sandwich and just very sweet motherly things. And she can't hear Sam at all because this would be pre-Sam. That's how young Dean is in this memory. And Sam's like, dude, we just gotta go look for the road. What are you doing? But Dean's like, no, I'm gonna eat my sandwich and drink my milk and have my mom baby me for a minute. Oh,
yep. But also, this is so painful for Sam because he can't participate, and he never got this from Mary. He never got to have hugs.
Because he was a baby when she died. So phone rings, and so Mary answers the phone, and it's John, and it is not a happy conversation. She's like, "You got 2 boys at home, and you whatever kind of a deal." And Dean's like, "Oh, I remember this now. They've been fighting, and John actually moved out for a few days." And Sam's like totally confused. He's like, "I thought they had the perfect marriage." And then Dean remembers that he comforted his mother when this all happened, so he went and hugged her like he did when he was a small child, told her Dad loves you and I love you and he won't leave you. So she calls him an angel and offers him pie. Sam actually has to process
Dean
something
loves
here.
pies? Yeah. Is this why Dean loves
pie?
Yeah, I know.
So First off, it's a Dean pie. Yeah, that's the tie-in for Dean's love of pie, is this memory probably. And then also we get Sam really emotional in that he never realized how long Dean's been cleaning up Dad's messes.
Yikes.
Ooh. Yeah.
So basically, I think he could have phrased it another way. Wow, I never realized how much of a shitty father John always was.
Yeah. Oh, ouch. So they're going to go look for the road again. And Sam finds a Route 66 postcard. So they look at it, which has obviously a road on it because Route 66 is a road. So looking at it, and while they're staring at it, they pop into a new scene. And it's a memory of Sam's. And it's kind of this like fucked up cabin in Flagstaff. And there's a doggo. We've got Bones, the golden retriever. Bones is real cute.
I mean, he was his dog.
He was a dog for like a couple weeks, but Dean is just shocked that this is where they're at for a happy memory for Sam. And Sam's like, "Yeah, I lived off of Funyuns and Mr. Pibb." Okay, sir. But Dean's upset. He's like, "You ran away on my watch, and we thought you were dead. Like, what the fuck?" And then when Dad came home, obviously Dean got in big trouble. So
came home to where? To the motel? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah,
like,
it's not really
how
home.
is he? Yeah, because they're not living in the house in Lawrence. Like, so where the fuck is he running away from? So whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Funyuns and Mr. Pibb sounds awesome. And what the fuck happened to Bones? What the fuck happened to Bones? What did John do to Bones?
Oh, don't say that.
Worse, even like if he didn't do something like that, he still, he told Sam to leave it behind. Yeah, probably just made him leave him, like, just leave it here. Somebody will pick it, like, with like a little cardboard sign. This is like, we'll work for food or something.
Oh,
poor puppy, poor Bones. No. That's why this episode's pressing. Anyway,
we don't know what happened to the dog. That's the whole reason.
What happened to the dog, man?
So outside, they go outside. They leave this cabin, and they're on a road at night. And there's an old house there, and they're like, "Okay, what memory is this?" Both of them are pretending like they don't know what memory it is, but then Dean realizes it's the night that Sam decided to leave to go to Stanford, and Dean is very upset. He's like, he cannot process that what a great memory, aka heaven, to Sam was one of the worst nights of Dean's life. And this is like kind of this is a tough episode because it shows like how different everybody's perspective was on things. But basically he's like, Sam's like, look, I was happy to be on my own and getting away from Dad. And Dean's like, yeah, you're happy, so happy that you're as if you were in heaven, spending Thanksgiving with a different family and bailing on me.
And
heavy.
why am I not in your happier memories? He just feels, he's left out, and he's like, his memories all involve Sam, and they're like, or his mom, but he's like, what the fuck? Where's your actual family? And I think that should be like a good thing, right? So, anyways,
sad.
It's sad. It's sad. And so Sam was trying to convince Dean that it's the two of them against the world, and aliens just attack them.
Well, before that, Sam does a really good point, though, and you alluded to it when we were talking about the scene with Mary. Sam's like, I didn't have someone cutting crusts off my bread. I didn't have the same family experience that Dean had to feel that attachment. So how could I have that kind of feeling about family? And that's kind of sad when you realize that Sam didn't have that, despite the fact that his brother was always there for him. Shit was still real weird.
Yeah, so, they had a very sad,
and then they get
childhood.
And then they get the searchlight alien UFO abduction.
Yep. And so they just start running, because if you see aliens, run. I don't care what they're saying these days. Run.
Yeah. And it's not aliens, it's Zachariah.
Still run.
Yeah.
And he is like, I'm evil, so I have to yep. And I yep.
He talks a lot. Yep. He does make fun of them for trying to run from angels in heaven on foot, which is kind of...
But also, they're making it away from you.
They are also successful.
Maybe that makes it worse on you, Zachariah. Maybe.
That's fair. But he monologues, blah, blah, blah. He's going to have them begging to say yes, blah, blah, blah. But then there's a guy in a lucha mask and a cape.
Yes, this man in a luchador mask is going to take them into a bar. And who is it? Who is this man in this mask?
Well, first they go into the bar, and it's Roadhouse. It's Ellen's Roadhouse. Yay!
That is the Roadhouse.
And then they take off the mask, and who is it? It's Ash. Yay!
Buenos dias, bitches.
And he double claps, and the lights turn on in the bar, which is amazing.
Yeah. So this is more like heaven, right? So you're in a shitty dive bar with your friends, and it smells like bud, blood, and beer nuts. The best smell in the world. And if it's a proper dive bar, it also smells like cigarettes. Sorry.
Yeah. And he offers them beers because there's no hangovers up there. And they're just shocked that he got into heaven. And he's like, what? He's like, I was saved. I was my congregation's #1 snake handler.
And you can totally see him do that. I can very much see Ash being a snake handler. And he just shotguns a Schlitz. And so I'm like, sure, you're in heaven. You're drinking Schlitz.
I mean, maybe it tastes better in heaven.
Does it?
I said maybe.
I don't even think that's possible. Yeah, so I am drinking a PBR, and we'll get more into that later. But I was going to get Schlitz today for this episode, but thank God my grocery store did not have any. So I'm drinking a PBR. So Ash, though, starts to explain this concept of what heaven is like in this mythology. And it's an interesting take, but I also find there's a lot of problems with it that we see in this episode, that some things they just didn't think through, I think.
Yeah, basically there's 100 billion heavens. Everyone's got their own personal heaven. And it's, they're just like not really crammed together. It's just like Disneyland. Well, anyways, they're not all necessarily crammed together. It's just a buttload of places there. It's kind of weird. They overlap, but they're not.
And they're crowded together like Disneyland, but without the anti-Semitism.
Oh, yeah.
So, but soulmates get to stay together, right?
Right. Otherwise, they're kind of alone, but except for that.
So, and this is where I'm going to start getting, I have some issues with it, right? So he's like, most people can't leave their places, but he's been all over, right? So he's gone to see Johnny Cash, Andre the Giant, and Einstein, who apparently makes a hell of a white Russian.
Mm-hmm.
But when we saw Sam and Dean's heavens, those were memories of things, right? So people, they weren't, but they could interact with them. So like, does Ash just go into someone's like replaying of a memory and then
interrupt it?
And then so I guess he interrupts him, and then they realize then they can not be in that memory.
I don't know. That's a little weird. I don't know. And like, that sounds like hellish to just relive the same memory, even if it's a good memory for the rest of my life. Fuck that.
Yeah, no. I mean, no, thank you.
Pass. I mean, or is it like a weird setting of what their heaven is by them going through multiple memories like they alluded to? Because they did allude to at one point when the brothers were talking about this, about how like your life flashes before your eyes when you die, and that they're just flashing through all these positive memories as they get settled into going to heaven officially, to their heaven. Maybe they aren't in their own heaven yet. They're going through memory lands. I don't know. It was very unclear and not very fully fleshed concept.
Yeah. And then it's just going to get fucked up even more as we go through this episode. Like, then and just the whole concept on it just collapses on itself. But anyways, Ash did also find the man who wrote the Kama Sutra, and that boy's heaven was sweaty and confusing.
What? So did he have a bunch of soulmates, but how can people not go to each other's heavens? Like, come on, that doesn't make sense.
I mean, if he wrote the Kama Sutra, I bet he had a lot of soulmates. I'd be a soulmate probably. So, but Ash just loves being dead. And he's just like, I'm living a whole lot more. I'm sure his mullet is just getting all the fun loving of his life.
Yeah, and he's rigged up a scanner for angels so he can hear what's going on, and he's got it set up to track for when Sam and Dean end up there, because this is not the first time they've been there. They die more than anyone he's ever met. And apparently they don't remember it because the angels Windex their brains every time, which is also upsetting. Like, I don't want to know. Like, I don't know. That's a little distressing.
No, the whole concept of, but so all these times that they've died, then they've gone to heaven and just don't remember it. Okay, that's weird. So then also distressing, though, is that Ash didn't know that Ellen and Joe had died.
Very sad.
And he hasn't seen them up there, so we don't know. We don't know if they're there.
And he hasn't seen John Winchester either.
Or Mary. So, which is weird because we saw the other version of Mary, but not the actual
memory of Mary.
Not the actual Mary. But
right. He find?
There's somebody else he found.
Yes. He found Pamela.
Yes, that means we get to find Pamela. Yay!
Yep. So we've got our Pamela Barnes enters, and her eyes are back to normal because she's in heaven. And she steps out and she slaps Dean for getting her killed.
Fair. And he's just like, hey, we got Ash killed too. And he is like, cool with it. And he's also in the back and he's just cat hacking away. And he's using his, finally making use of string theory.
Yeah. And while Ash and Sam are often playing with computers, Dean and Pamela have a little chat. And Pamela's like, I'm fucking good. I do remember my death. And you told me I was going to go to someplace better, and you were right.
She remembers her death wrong, though, because she says that she was gut shot and she was stabbed.
That's
so
true.
Maybe her memory of her death ain't so good. No,
you're right. But basically, she's got her own heaven, and she comes and hangs out with Ash, and that's about it. And Dean's like, I'm not convinced. about any of this. He's like, being trapped like in your own little like weird universe while angels kind of run the show. It just sounds like the Matrix, not Nirvana.
Yeah, it really does. It sounds like the fucking Matrix. If they are running everything and they're controlling what your memories are and what you're seeing, yeah, no, that's creepy as fuck. And billions of people have died, so there's billions of like what? It also just seems like a lot of work, right?
It does. Seems unnecessary to create a bunch of customizable spots. Like, enough people like the same shit. It'll be fine. We need like 5 different themes. It's fine. But Pamela does have a point though. The attic is still better than the basement.
Not wrong.
So, and Dean's unconvinced. He's like, it's not real though, and she just doesn't care. She's like, I'm at peace, so whatevs. And like, would it be so bad if you just played ball with Michael? Just end up with a shit ton more people in heaven, and I'm happy, so they'd be happy too. Okay, Pamela, weird angle.
Yeah, and then I'm also like, at this point, I'm like, this is sus. I don't trust this Pamela. I don't know. I think she's angel implanted. I don't know, because I don't think Pamela would say that. But anyways, so while that's going on, Ash has found a shortcut to the garden with math.
Yes, because string theory and math work in heaven.
Math. Gotta be fucked.
Samesies.
I could draw the little thing.
Yeah, they draw the long division symbol on the door.
I can do that. I think that was a root symbol.
It was a root symbol. I'm just teasing. It was a root. So he draws the root symbol on the door, and Pam tells Sam to watch his ass, and then passionately kisses Dean. Whoa, holla!
It was quite the kiss.
Yeah. And then Ash says he's sure he'll see them again soon.
And Dean wants him to keep a 6er on ice for them.
Yeah.
So I'm not ready to say goodbye to Ash and Pamela because the rest of this episode is still fucking depressing. So we're going to take a break from depressing and have a little fun. Or basically, we're going to put Diana on the spot again and see what she remembers about shit, because that amuses me. So we're going to play a game. And I'm going to ask Diana questions about Mr. Ash and Ms. Pamela Barnes. And let's go. All right. Question number 1. Ash got kicked out of college for fighting. What school did he get kicked out of? Was it A, Caltech, B, Harvard, C, MIT, or D, Stanford?
I think I'm wrong, but I want to say Caltech.
MIT!
Damn it. That was my second.
All right. That's only your first one. Just warming up, getting warmed up, get the brain juices going. All right. In season 2, episode 2, Simon said, Dean and Sam go seek Ash out in his office. There's a sign hanging on the door that says, who is in? Is it Dr. Feelgood, Dr. Badass, Dr. Savage, or Dr. Cockburn?
Dr. Badass.
It is Dr. Badass.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor's in. All right, question number 3. What beer does Sam give Ash to search for information for him in that same episode? Was it Schlitz, Lone Star, Budweiser, or PBR?
I'm going to say Schlitz, but now I think it's PBR because you're drinking your PBR as you said that. Damn it.
That was PBR. But it also didn't look like a PBR. Whatever he gave him did not actually look like that beer. All right. So, question number 4. In season 2, episode 21, after the roadhouse explodes, what does Dean use to identify Ash's remains? Is it a watch, a necklace, an earring, or a giant belt buckle?
It was a belt buckle, right?
No, it was a watch.
Oh, like, I don't know.
It was also a watch that he never wore in any other episodes. But
that doesn't make any sense then.
Nah.
That's just silly.
All right. You apparently, your love for Ash.
I know. I love Ash,
but you are channeling your Pamela. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to some Pamela Barnes questions. All right, all right. In season 4, episode 1, Pamela's eyes are burned out by who? Lucifer, Zachariah, Cass, or Becky Rosen?
I thought it was Cass.
It is Cass.
It's like, oh my God, threw me off.
Certainly was not Becky Rosen, which would have been amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, see, you got the Pamela juice going in. All right. In season 4, episode 10, Heaven and Hell, Pamela is able to recognize Sam by what? Is it A, his python biceps, B, his perky ass, C, his Prince Valiant hair, or D, his minty fresh breath?
Perky ass.
It was indeed his perky ass. Hooray! Okay. Still going on. You got your Pamela vibes going. In season 4, episode 15, Death Takes a Holiday, Pamela insults Dean by calling him what? Does she call him Chachi, Potsy, Fonzie, or Mouth? Chach. Joni loves Chachi. Chachi.
I think that's what it was Chachi.
Yeah, it was Chachi. I just said it like 1,000 times.
I know.
But yes.
I was like, yeah, that was it.
All right. So for the last one, you redeemed. You are Pamela. You go to your show in the Meadowlands. In that same episode, Pamela whispers what into Sam's ear when she says she's whispering the incantation? Does she say, A, did you hurt yourself when you fell from heaven? B, are you a cake because I want a piece of that? C, are you a lumberjack because I'm in need of some wood? Or D, you've got a great ass?
I think it was D.
Yes, it was most definitely D. Although
she really likes Sam's ass.
She does like Sam's ass. Although
I think she also likes commenting on it because I think it makes him uncomfortable, which is great.
Which I adore that part of her personality because they also have that. Don't tell me what your fears are because I will exploit them for my own amusement.
What? That doesn't sound like you.
Does not sound like anything like me at all. So, all right. And so, I guess if there was like a quiz, like you were a Pamela, that's what that would say.
Yay!
Which is, not everybody
appropriate.
Not everybody can pull off the mullet like I can.
No,
it's a special skill.
Yeah,
it's very special skill. Okay, so all right, we've had our palate cleanser.
Yeah. So now we can get more sad.
Are you ready?
Yay.
All right. Let's go back to Kansas.
Back in Lawrence at the house, at the family home. And they're like, well, shit, we got to look for a road. And then Mary walks in. And she's in her nightgown. And she's asking why Dean's up. And he tries to do like his, like, you're not real. We don't have time for this. Meh, kind of thing. And and obviously that's not going to work in this weird memory. And she's doing her little mom thing. Like, did you have a nightmare? Let me share you my nightmare. The night I burned. Like, what the fuck?
So, yeah, Mother Mary starts getting real fucking creepy.
Like real creepy.
And so again,
and then blood starts seeping out of the front of her nightgown.
Yep. Just going on. Yeah. And so now we're just breaking whatever was happening before. So now this is clearly like just some sort of angel shit, right? Angels being dicks, angels being dicks, dicks being angels. And she just starts telling him really, really mean shit. She gets real mean.
She says, I never loved you. You were my burden and I was shackled to you. And then she blinks and she's got yellow eyes because that's not traumatizing. And then she blinks again and they go away. But the lighting changes, the doors are bricked up, and all of a sudden it looks like Beetlejuice.
It does. It looks like Beetlejuice, and I love it. It looks like
it's all green uplighting. I'm like, what?
And
we get a Beetlejuice crossover? Where's Michael Keaton?
Well, and this was at the time where, so I actually stopped watching like the episode at one point and went to go like just watch it because I kind of got invested in it, and sometimes I don't want to take notes. I just wanted to like enjoy the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw that, I was like, oh shit, was it Wednesday supposed to come out soon? And so then I like immediately, and so Diana got text messages from me with like talking about the premiere that happened last week in LA for Wednesday, where Christina Ricci wore this amazing spider gown with like, oh, it was so good. And oh, I saw little mini spider crystals. Oh, it was fantastic. But yeah, so that's what made me go look that up, because I was like, oh, Tim Burton glow. I love this glow so much.
Mm-hmm. No, it was excellent. I was just like, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Anyways, well, now it's Sam, Dean, and Mary there, locked in this room, and she starts describing her experience burning to death on the ceiling. And that the pain was bad, but really it was the smell. First, she thought she had burnt a pot roast, but it was her meat.
And that doesn't sound bad. I mean, you smelled like a pot roast like that. You smell delicious. So I don't think you have to worry about anything. I'd be like,
stop complaining.
That's I'm gonna just taste myself. Oh yeah, it was maybe a little salt, but yeah, I'm like a pot roast. But then like she just gets meaner and meaner, and then just like everybody leaves you. Maybe it's not them. Maybe it's you.
And giggles. And then who's there? Our favorite dick angel, Zachariah.
Yep. And that is what my notes say. And here comes Zach. What a dick.
Yeah.
And he has angel goons with him. These are definitely goons or henchmen. Are they henchmen or?
I think they're I like angel goon.
Angel goons. Okay.
I like angel goons.
And
I think I had angel thug written down.
Angel thug. Yeah, the goons. Goons. But Zach gets gross.
Yeah, because he's gotten fond of the memory of Mary and kisses her neck real provocatively. And he uses the term, can you hear it? Are you ready for it?
No, I don't want to hear it. Don't say it.
MILF.
Oh! He says it. Oh, and it's also just like because he was doing like the light feathery kisses on her. Oh, it's just like it's just like that creepy old man that you don't want any. Oh God, oh, it's so nasty. It's so gross. But then Dean tries to taunt him, and he tells him.
Makes a bald joke.
Yeah, he's like, you're so bald. And he is like, in heaven, I have 6 wings and 4 faces, and one of them is a lion.
One of them's a lion.
But also, you are in heaven.
Yeah.
You're in heaven. Why can't I see your lion face,
well,
Zachariah?
You're humid, so you're limited is why. Gosh. It's like one of those like stupid things like, well, you just can't see it because you
can't see it in Canada. I have 4 faces and one of them is a cheetah. You know, you just can't see it because you're not in Canada. So I'm like, can't you project it? Because I would be like, show me. Like, I don't believe you. Where are your wings? Where are your receipts, bitch? Show me the receipts.
For in heaven, I can handle seeing it because I'm dead too, so whatevs.
Right?
But then we've got a creepy caress.
What?
Down Mary's arm. Caressing her arm. Caressing it. And then he snaps and she disappears, which is also creepy in its own way.
Yep. And then we get an evil villain monologue.
Yeah. Dean gets punched in the face. But basically... The short and sweet summary is Zachariah was a badass because he was respected because he was in charge of the Winchester brothers, or because he was just a good angel. But then he got assigned to the Winchester brothers, but he can't close the deal on a couple of flannel wearing maggots.
Yeah, you pretty much you suck. And they ruined his reputation. I do appreciate his Lucifer may be strong, but I'm petty line. Yes, I thought that was like
really good.
Oh my God, like, that's a good villain thing to say. Ooh. Yes, well done, Zachariah there. I like that one. Mm-hmm. But we're going to get interrupted.
Yeah, we hear, excuse me, sir. And there's an older African-American gentleman standing there. And Zachariah's like, I'm in a meeting, and this guy's like, sorry, I need to speak to these two. It's the boss's orders. Oh. Oh.
Wait, so God isn't dead or short. Okay. So, and he's just like, nope. He insists, and then Zach stomps away. Fine. I'm gonna flap away. Flap.
And then they flap, and they're in a garden. But it looks like Biodome. I mean, not really. That's where my head went, though.
Yeah, but also it does look like almost every botanical garden in America, and pretty much around the world. I think most botanical gardens are the same.
I don't know why my head went to Biodome, but that's where it went. So sorry. But either way, this is Joshua, and he does explain that it's not.
Pauly Shore in Biodome or Brendan Fraser? Or is it both of them?
One of them is. I don't remember.
I think it's Pauly Shore. Oh, man. Pauly Shore, did you die?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
But Joshua does explain why it looks like this. It makes me feel a little better because he's like, no, some people see Eden or God's throne room, but for y'all, it's the Cleveland Cleveland Botanical Gardens because y'all went on a field trip there once. I guess, sure. And by the way, Biodome is Pauly Shore and Stephen Baldwin. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So either way, but God does talk to Joshua. Joshua doesn't talk to God. God talks to Joshua. Joshua listens to God. And God is on earth. Nobody knows what he's doing or where he is. But Joshua can sympathize. And that's why God talks to him. Because they're talking gardener to gardener. Or something.
Yeah, I think it sounds pretty much like, there's somebody here who just lets God go on and on about his shit and just like lets him talk. And that's what I'm getting, right? But he's like also like, God's lonely. And I'm like, what? Like, okay, whatever, God, be lonely. And God has a message for them.
He does.
And it's not the one you would expect.
Nope, not what we hoped.
Is that a cheery like slogan?
Keep in mind, we thought we were going to go get God's help, or God was going to stop the apocalypse, or help with the angel situation, whatever,
or at least send them a poster with like a kitten like hanging from a tree, hang in there. No, they don't get that. Like, or good job, guys, you've been doing great. What does God tell them to do?
Back off.
What?
From what? I'm very confused by this. Like, are they supposed to back off from stopping the apocalypse? Are they supposed to back off from the angel world?
I think they're supposed to back off from trying to find God. Yeah, and trying to pull God into this mess.
Yeah,
I get basically that, he's saying like, because Cass,
fix it yourself.
Yeah, well, I think also Cass, because we haven't seen like a lot of what Cass has been doing, but we know Cass has the amulet, and he has been probably searching and probably poking in a lot more places than the boys have. So I feel like that's probably more. And so like God's just irritated because God's a douchebag according to this world. And so
he's like, I've saved you enough. This isn't my problem. It's I know the apocalypse started, but I've already brought back Castiel. I've granted you salvation. That's all I really feel like doing here. So you can't find me with or without a magic amulet. Bye.
So it does, but it proves certain plot points, right? So now we know for sure that when they landed in that plane, that was God.
Yeah,
right.
And Castiel returning to them,
and Cass coming back, that was God. Okay, so we know God exists. Yes. God's still there.
And has power.
And has power. He just doesn't give a fuck. Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe it's not that he doesn't care.
No, he don't care. He don't give a fuck. He's done. I don't interfere. I'm lonely. I'm going to go be lonely. And Dean is just like, you know what? He's just another deadbeat dad. And I'm used to dealing with those fuckers, and I will just muddle through.
But before we get that, I will say we do get the philosophical point, which I think is always a philosophical point when everybody talks about God or religion or belief in some existence of good. And that is when Dean is incredulous as to why God will not intervene. He's like, he can stop this. And he's like, why won't he stop it? And Joshua points out, he's like, why allow evil in the first place? You're going to drive yourself nuts with questions like that. And that's like one of the things I think comes up a lot with conversation about faith or lack thereof, good versus evil, is like, well, if God is so good, why would he allow evil to exist or bad things to happen at all? And I think, I think that's something that a lot of, people of faith do wrestle with and have to address. But that is, it's a very, even people of faith, I think, obviously
just
battle with that conversation.
Yeah, no, and that goes back to like, oh my god, like every fucking philosophy book I ever had to read is that goes, whatever. It's a major philosophical and theological point.
Absolutely, but I thought I'm glad it got brought up here because I think that if it would be remiss to leave it out in this, especially in the context here.
But I also just like Dean's analogy that you're basically you are now becoming a sperm donor god. So you basically, you jizzed out the universe, and now
you're like,
you just
not my problem.
Like, I don't need to pay child support or anything. Like, I did my bit. I jizzed the universe in this cup, and the sperm bank is closed now, and I don't care that I have 850 billion, children running around. Sorry. And I was just picturing like the going through like the trying to match your father, like around like, oh God, oh you have 8 million children.
You are the father. You are the father. You are the father.
The longest episode of Maury ever. Oh, we crack ourselves up. We really, really do, because that's how we deal with things that just make your brain hurt. They make your brain hurt, whether or not you believe in God, don't believe in God. Like, those questions hurt things. Everybody has thought. I think everybody has thought about these things at some time. If not, maybe you should do some acid. But we've all like contemplated this
or some
before.
Soul searching. I don't know. Acid or soul searching. I don't know.
Porque no los dos.
I mean, that's fine too. I'm just saying I didn't think there was only one path.
There is not only one path, but the acid path is a lot faster. If you want to go straight into that self-introspection. Although I don't even know these days, like, if like there is acid. Like, I know there's like shit that like killed like a bunch of people, like tell people that it's acid, and like a bunch of people die from it, because for the longest time, like, we were running off of that original supply that the CIA like had made, but that ran out. So, and nobody knows what that original recipe was. It's kind of like, Coke, like nobody knows the original recipe for LSD. Cool. I don't know. Anyway, so that's a weird tangent. So we're going to go back to sad news. So Joshua is like calling out on Dean, just being like, can you muddle through it this time? Because I don't know. You can't kill the devil. You're losing faith in yourself and in your brother. And now this, God was your last hope. What? That's a fucking harsh burn. Yeah. And also, like, Sam is just like, what? You're losing faith? Hey!
Called the fuck out. And he's like, look, you're not the first angel we've met. How do we know you're telling us the truth about this being God's message anyways? He's like, look, I don't know. I can't help you anyways. I just trim hedges. Y'all need to go home, but this time you're going to remember this trip.
Also, when he says like trim hedges, like, I just like, to me it just sounds like a bikini waxer job. Like, all I do is trim hedges. So like in like new reboot, like Joshua the gardener is actually just like a European wax lady. All I do all day is trim hedges. So they get booped back, and they wake up in their motel room, which is covered in Schlitz cans.
Yeah, suddenly there's tons of empty beers. It's very weird.
Where did the beer, like, did Walt and Roy, like, just drink a bunch of beers around their corpses?
That's so weird. And Walt and Roy are going to be very distressed when they see these two. But anyways, Then there's blood splatter. All did you open another PBR? You did open another PBR.
What?
Just dawned on me that you opened another tall boy. And the brothers are both covered in blood splatter, laying in the beds where they were left when they were killed by Walton Roy. So they wake up, and Sam's like, "Are you all right?" Dean's like, "Define all right." Like this is a fair conversation. But
It is. And Cass is flaps in
while they're packing,
and he's just bummed.
super bummed. And he's like, maybe Joshua is lying, but they don't really think so. And Castiel doesn't really think so either. He's just trying to root for anything. So he looks up to the sky looks up into the ceiling of the motel, whatever, and says, "You son of a bitch, I believed in you." What do you do when an angel loses his faith?
I broke Cass. They broke Cass. They did. But also I was like, man, I bet that his ceiling of that hotel room was also gross. You know, like looked up and he's just like
spots on it.
Well, and like covered in brain matter. Like, so like the blood's still there. Like, well, I guess it was a gut shot. So
yeah, so you wouldn't have that.
You wouldn't have like brain mass up there, but also just that motel room looked nasty the first place.
It was
so
not a good, it wasn't a cool.
There's probably just like some weird little cum stain hanging off of it. But anyways, poor broke Cass.
Bad texture with dust in it.
And this weird little water stains that look like blood, but you're not sure why. And like some of them, like some black mold. Okay, anyways, so broken Cass just gives Dean back his amulet and is like, I don't need this anymore.
And then he leaves.
Flat.
And Sam is like, look, I still think we can stop it as long as we're like working together.
And did you see the Great Western shirt that I put on? Because it was fabulous. He puts on his beautiful, like, it's like really nice brown, like, the little studs on it. Good choice.
But Dean doesn't reply. And he walks by and drops his amulet in the trash and leaves.
And the end. Well, actually, Sam sighs. And I also, like, I could also see Sam sigh. I'm like, oh, shit, I had to sit in a car with this.
Yeah, but also, like, that's really sad, too, because the amulet, part of the reason it was special to Dean was because it was from Sam, and he just threw it away in front of Sam. And so not only is it a sign of him giving up faith in their mission, but it's also him expressing his upset with their relationship.
He's just in sad mopey pants land. He's gonna go grow out his hair, become a little emo.
No.
So tired. I hate it when they get all mopey. Do we have casting couch?
We do.
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
As I burp PBR into the microphone. Let's go to the casting couch.
Yeah, so we really just have one. We've talked about all these other actors at some point in time, so we do have one to add this week, and that is Joshua, played by Roger Aaron Brown. And his career does go back to the 70s and earlier, honestly. He had like a baby role even. But really,
like he was a baby?
Like he was when he was a baby. He was
a baby. He was in the movies.
Yeah. So, but in the 70s, because he was born in the 50s, but in the 70s, he was in episodes of like a lot of the classic 70s television shows, a lot of like single episode appearances, but we're talking Good Times, Kojak, Rockford Files, and Incredible Hulk, like classic television. He was an Epsilon technician in the Star Trek movie in 79. He was a regular character in the 80s. Danny Grant, on Days of Our Lives, a major, like very common, like reoccurring character. In the 80s, he was a policeman in the Stallone classic Cobra, which is not known for being a great film, but being one like kind of a cult classic because it's got really fucking cool cars in it. And he was also a policeman in Action Jackson. He is in had a small role in RoboCop 2. In the 80s and 90s, he was on a lot of continued doing a lot of television roles, a lot of single roles. But MacGyver, Father Dowling Mysteries. Do you remember that? Anyways, it was Priest that solved mysteries. Like saying Picket Fences, Jag, Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Those are all shows he appeared on. In addition to, he was John Henry in Disney's Tall Tale. It was a Pecos Bill film. It was really, I remember, 95. He was a regular reoccurring character as a Deputy Chief Joe Noland in The District in the early aughts, and more recently, he actually does a lot of voice work in like video games, including one of the Assassin's Creed and things like that. So pretty expansive career for not somebody that's had like a lot of like blockbuster roles, but he's had a very consistent,
he's had meaty roles,
long running career.
He's a working actor.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's our Joshua.
Well, hooray. And casting couch, we leave. So, this episode.
Well, I mean, so here's the first thing. So I agree. This version of heaven is kind of depressing and very lonely sounding, even though I think I have my soulmate. Aww. But that's not like, that's not the heaven like most people think about, right? Like you want to be reunited with all the people you love and miss or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's supposed to be just a place of joy without stress or pain. And I just feel like no matter what, anywhere you would have a memory, there'd be something negative tied to it. Well, then it doesn't make sense. The construct doesn't make sense.
I mean, I do wonder though if most people, like, you know, they didn't take the red pill, whichever pill you take, like they don't know, right? So like they're not really aware or cognizant
that they're in heaven,
that they're in heaven, and that, you know, they're just kind of like at this joy, feeling peace, you know, and like Ash and well, that's the Matrix, you know. I mean,
I don't want Matrix heaven.
Well, I mean, the original concept of the, you know, the Judeo-Christian heaven is that you get treated like shit on earth, and then that's okay because then you'll be happy when you die. So there's a lot of problems with the idea of heaven overall.
Float around on little clouds.
But I mean, most religions, except, you know, Judaism for really, but have some concept of this like heaven afterlife, right? That's not just a Christian concept, you know, like everybody has different things that happens in there. So
an afterlife in a variety of forms.
Yeah, I just think this is a very complex version of heaven that I feel was made to fit a plot line. Because they wanted them to go on a road. Simple. Right.
Well, and I felt like they tried to make it seem simple and realistically, like not realistically, that's not the right word. Conceptually on the surface, I think they thought it was simple, and I think they had to have realized as they were going that this was actually opening a layers upon layers.
It's just like time travel.
Yeah, like it's just go back in time and do some shit. It's fine. Well, no, it's not. It's fucked up. But then and it's confusing and annoying. But then also this concept of heaven is confusing and annoying. Because it doesn't really make sense. Like, are they memories or is it your happy place? And then you're alone forever? Or why is can this guy move around and this one can't? And then why are you in this memory? Are you living that one memory for eternity? Like, what the fuck? And then also you've got like memory Mary, but not real Mary. Like, that's real weird too. Like, it gets layers of weirdness. So yeah, I think this concept of heaven is fucked. And I don't like it. But we got Pamela and Ash. So that's kind of cool.
So, I mean, I feel like that's kind of like the sugar
the trade-off
that was given with our medicine. Like, okay, you had to sit through the shitty thing about heaven so we can tell you that God doesn't care. And this is how we went through this whole long thing to do that. Ash and
Pamela. But then like we also have like this really shitty relationship issue with Sam and Dean. And like, I mean, I know, like, honestly, here, I'm going to make a confession. I felt bad for Sam.
Well, you should.
Because, and it's not something I really have before. I was like, Sam's such a selfish jerk. Blah. But also him really pointing out that he had a very different childhood experience which I mean, you kind of know. I mean, like his big brother raised him or whatever, but like it really hit it home in this episode that Sam did not have the relation, even the mental vision of family that Dean had, because Dean at least had that as a young child. So I thought that was really eye-opening for me and my perspective on Sam. So maybe I'll be less of a bitch about Sam being a bitch.
He's still a bitch.
I mean, I said less.
Yeah, but
I didn't say he's still a bitch.
You'll love
I'll
him
be less
more.
of a.
Yeah,
I'll be slightly less bitchy about him being a bitch. And then, but I also feel bad for Dean because his entire vision and perspective on his relationship with his brother got shit on by his brother.
Well, yeah, so there is that, holy crap, like, I'm not in any of your memories. It's like, you know, if, like, I'm trying to think the analogy of, like, a yearbook or something, you know, like, or where you thought you're really important to somebody, and they're like, who are you? You know, like, you're like, but you were such a big, important part of my life, but what? What do you mean, who? And I think that's Dean is feeling a lot of that, but...
Yeah. Well, like, or at least none of the good parts. Like, you were like, Sam was part of every one of Dean's happy memories, and Dean was not.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
Well, not every. You're right, because he wasn't born yet with Mary. But Dean's were centered around their family, at least in some way.
And oddly, John didn't appear in any of them.
Oh, shocking.
Yeah, but also I would have to assume that there is more memories because there's
can't be the only. Yeah.
So, anything else? Okay, so now Dean's sad, Cass is sad, Sam is sad.
Everybody's sad.
Sad. But we are 2 episodes away from what is probably my favorite episode of Supernatural.
Ooh,
so
that's big.
I'm willing to take my lump of sadness with Ash and Pam. I'm closer. All right, so with that, cheers, Dirk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.